Townships Economists Rebuilding, Redefining, and Restoring Wealth from the Ground Up. Bulelani Balabala, founder of Hispanic Group and founder of the Township Economy Awards, is with us in studio. And we want to dive into one of the most important conversations in South Africa's economic landscape, the state of township entrepreneurship and how it's reshaping the future of our communities. I mean, a lot of us would know either we stayed or we stay in the townships. They've always been hubs for creativity, for what young people call hustle, survival, innovations. There's a lot. But then the township faces some of the toughest barriers: access to markets, the dreaded F word, as I always say, finance, funding, infrastructure, recognition. There is so much that township entrepreneurs face. So we want to touch on those things. We'll unpack how entrepreneurs are building sustainable businesses despite these obstacles that we're talking about. And also what real support looks like for the townships, and why these economies matter for the country. Bulelani is in studio with us. Good afternoon.
No, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, no, get sharp,
right,
I'm good, sir.
Thank you so much for popping in. I think maybe just tell us a little bit about what you guys do, the Township Economy, the Hispanic Group, and the Township Economy Awards. What do you do and why this is so important for you?
Yeah, no, man, I think everything sort of emanates from my entrepreneurial journey. So about 21 years an entrepreneur, 2 years of those informal, started my entrepreneurial journey in Tembisa, in my mother's garage, single garage, hospital view.
What are you selling?
No, then, I was selling before. The informal parts of selling sweets and Kwena.
Okay.
I learned very quickly the Kwena or FMCG businesses I must stay away from because I ate my own stock.
Didn't they tell you how would you stop?
I know, I think it's when your stuff is too good. But I learned very early then. Did a lot of odd things, running the longest running, I think, was an internet cafe. That obviously had nothing cafe or internet about it because there was no infrastructure at that time. So it was selling stationery packs, the first 3 months of the year, in the mornings, transporting school kids, opening up the shop at 7 o'clock, selling enterprise Poloni packs towards month end, doing odd jobs.
So you're a hustler.
Proper hustler, because my highest grade is grade 9.
Okay.
So then I had to bootstrap different things to try and navigate and move along. So I guess over the years, then one built this internet cafe into a print brokerage where we are outsourcing the print services, and then we moved into print manufacturing. And then out of that, then grew this passion for empowering township entrepreneurs. So about in 2015, we started something called T, which is Township Entrepreneurs Agency. Which was a simple thing, a simple ideology. Can we gather 5 or 10 young individuals or individuals in general, aspirant or ones in business, for the sole purposes of doing two things? Gather them once a month to share information, get to know each other, and then the second part in hopes that they will do business with each other.
Together, yeah.
When we kicked off on the 11th of July 2015, we had 161 people show up. As opposed to that 5 or 10 and other than then we then continued with them consistently.
Were you surprised by the turnout?
No, I was very surprised. I didn't anticipate that because at that moment in time there was nothing like that. And also I think for us what we wanted to do over the years as well is move away from the traditional anything related to business in the township is in a dingy hall that is dirty with a facilitator who doesn't even know what they're doing.
So we also kept that narrative.
Yeah, so so we're like no, so we wanted to do something different. But over the years, we've been able to grow this initiative T into a nationwide footprint. We've done work in all 9 provinces, all major townships, directly impacting 134,000 township entrepreneurs nationwide. And I think we've done about 139 townships. And I think for us, the big thing there is we've been able to provide the guys with mentorship, grant fund facilitation, enterprise supply development. And then there's a business within this segment. I think some of the key things that we then do is that we facilitate meaningful economic development opportunities between the corporate South Africa and the township economy for inclusive economic growth. And I think that's our biggest endeavor within the space.
What would you say are some of the barriers, the biggest barriers, but beyond funding? Because every entrepreneur will tell you the F word, funding, fees, and everything is the big word. that people don't talk about?
I mean, it's a couple. I think for me, I'd like to categorize them into three.
Sure.
The biggest barrier from a corporate perspective is the misconceptions. So you find a lot of corporates, especially from a corporate affairs, enterprise supply development perspective, they always say we want to help, but we don't know where to find the people. That misconception is a big misconception about we don't know where. In actual fact, you do. It's a question of intention.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah, it's a question of intention, and sometimes
so you want to sound like you want to do it, but
and sometimes
really deep down.
Exactly. And sometimes will, and sometimes wanting to tick a box. The third part is really the misconception of the individual who grew up in the township. Because the individual who grew up in the township like me, I mean, for majority of my entrepreneurial journey, the big dream was to have a corner office with a view in Sandton or Rosebank. I wanted to get out for those reasons.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with anyone else who's gotten out.
Absolutely.
But the only differentiating factor for me in my business is when I started to take a hold of my story and share that story with clientele all across, let's say, your Sandton, your Houghtons. That's what then grew the trajectory. So I think for me, from a consumer perspective, is the person understanding that the power is in the rand that you have. Being intentional about who you spend it on, the local businesses that you're spending on empowers them to grow. And then on the other side, just the big red tape just across the board is obviously a lack of information dissemination in and amongst these businesses, a lack of market access, meaning that even though I've got a product, I don't know how to get it certified, I don't know how to get it onto a retail shelf, even though I've got the skills, competence on how to manufacture. Because the townships, and I think I love this in your opening precursor, they are hubs of economic development, and I'll tell you why. Although the township was set up through specialization as an apartheid, as a space for black people not to thrive, we found ways of thriving. So the houses that we live in are for commerce and also for consumption, because in the same oven, Nkhono or grandmother is baking scones to sell to the funeral next door. We are then consuming as well as we eat at home. The biggest question has always been, the biggest thing has always been, how do we then help these individuals scale? Because entrepreneurship has never lacked within our communities. It's how do you help this individual scale?
At a small scale, within a small circle.
Yeah.
Not really trying to do that. How about support? Because I find that the other big thing is that there's also that mentality that kasi we don't support each other. Why should I buy Bulelani stuff when, you know what I mean? How have you found that? Has that mentality changed, that where we believe in each other and support each other, Kokas? Yeah,
you know what? I think we've played somewhat of a role, and other individuals are also playing somewhat of a role. But I mean, that mentality still is a pervasive mentality, which is still there in and amongst other people. And I think we need to grow. And I think the deepest level of self-love is wanting to see your own billionaire who came from your own community. Because you look across the board, I mean, the board in this case is not a broad. The board in this case, just look at the JSE. Majority of those listed organizations are listed as a result of our support. So we've been comfortable in funneling and growing billionaires and other races and other communities. But the moment I see one who looks like a Tepo or Jabu or Tabo, I feel like every moment I see him or see his ad, I'm going to remark, I made him.
No, I can also, now we're going to think, now that he's driving a better car and Imaliate. You know what I mean?
And it should not be the case, because that should be, because the key thing is that should be a model. Because the beautiful thing is, young kids, as they grow up, they learn through what they see. When they see that model, it gives them the confidence and the credence to navigate through life in their own skin and in their own power.
From your work through Hispanic Group, what patterns have you observed about why township businesses struggle to scale?
I mean, it's a myriad of different things. Sure. I think the first key one that we've discovered through T is this. The consistent positioning of the word "I'm small" in business. So the biggest thing is the biggest thing really is the mindset, and I'll tell you why. The biggest thing to break out of is this. The founder is big, but the business is small. The small is an infrastructural small. But in most cases, the founder has taken that infrastructural small into a mindset small. So even when you're in a room with JSE listed organization CEOs, you don't speak at that level because you have not spent the time developing and positioning yourself. So the infrastructural limitations that you have in your business should not be what inhibits your growth. Meaning that as a founder and a business owner, you need to consistently be found, we should consistently never ever be found wanting. That's the first. The second one, that's the first. The second one really is from a support mechanism perspective, because the individuals have the desire, they have the willingness to grow, but I think it's the support and also the recognition from the streams. I mean, I'll make you an example. There's a young individual that we've had the privilege of working on by the name of Usbu, who's called Tubak, in his hometown, the Orange Farm, was a security guard earning 5,200 Rand. He was retrenched or lost his job, has a daughter, and an old man in his neighborhood just told him, dude, you're unemployed, wash people's dustbins. Today he washes them every Thursday. He washes 80 bins on a Thursday, the local community bins. He makes about 16,000 Rand a month from charging 50 Rand. That's all he does. But the pervasive mindset there, which is why it all starts on the mindset, the pervasive mindset there is that when he shared this with his local gents, Amachitawaka, that he sits with at the corner, none of them want to do it because it's an ego thing. Imagine me watching people's bins. But indirectly he's uncovered a powerful thing. So the most powerful thing is that majority of households are female headed. Majority of those households that are female headed in township are headed by Bonghono. So meaning that as a young man who lives within that immediate community, he's already garnered trust. They know him, so they'll open up their doors to him. Out of that, he's got a lock captured.
Yeah, he
market.
can come in. Wow, that's beautiful, man. That's a beautiful story. Yeah, and I think that's the other thing, and I'm glad you touched on the ego thing, because sometimes we feel exactly like that. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you rather stay unemployed or not have money?
And that's the big debate, right? Because for me, there is no artisan who sleeps hungry. There is no person who works with their hands who sleeps angry. That means you're cutting people's hair, you're doing someone's lawn, you're washing someone's car, you're fixing someone's plumbing, you're dealing with someone's nonsense and trash and rubbish. Because at the end of the day, but the key thing has always been in this age of digitization with doom scrolling, is that sometimes all of us, sometimes, and not to badmouth anyone, what we've picked up also in working with the younger individuals, that there's this big driver to say, I'm just going to open up a YouTube channel and just talk and interview individuals. And I always say to them, there's nothing wrong with that, but you know what would be the most beautiful thing that would be a catalyst? Create content around the artisanal work that you do. Do something with your hands, because when you do something with your hands, you're able to grow it in increments. Because the key thing about being stagnant. When you're stagnant, your mind locks up. When your mind locks up, it doesn't matter if I come to you in a 40,000 Rand per month job and opportunity, you will mess it up because you have locked yourself up from keeping your mind in mobility. So you volunteer your time, you're washing your neighbor's car, you're washing your friend's car every Saturday when you're chilling with them, you're drinking with people who've got jobs, but you're the unemployed one. You must wash their cars if they're pulling up to your house every single Saturday, so that you're getting that 500 or 600 Rand. There is no ego, because you are keeping yourself in motion, you're keeping yourself open to be able to spot opportunities within your life.
And you touched on this thing of using your hands, that growing up, it used to be that thing for a person who's not educated enough, you'll end up and which made it like it's a small thing to do. But now if you put it that way, because it was one of those, that mentality that how can you school? Which, and if you think about it, those are the jobs, the plumbing jobs, they make money.
A lot of
people,
money.
because you need that. And unfortunately, it comes down to that, where people have to realize that sometimes jobs is not about ego. If it's something that can put food on the table and make your life better, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely love the story of Sbu that you're sharing of the dustbins. I want to touch on a few things, because I see that time just went by very quickly. You just come off, there was a whole talk about the G20, but you also did some of the G20 Startup 20 ecosystem. Tell us about that, and what was the big idea behind it?
No, man, I think for me, obviously G20 as part of their side tracks had something they call the Startup 20. I was a Startup 20 task force member. I think largely because of the work that we do within the township economy space, within township entrepreneurs and rural communities. And I think the big driver really there from a Startup 20 perspective as a sideline initiative of the G20 was to drive policies, share policies to drive infrastructural support, remove red tape, make finance and funding available, and then also looking at various market fields. I think that what we then did as an extra layer and taking it to the next level is we understood a couple of key things, and which is why we then entered into a partnership with them and had our summit considered as a sideline event of the G20. If you say to someone in the township G20, it means nothing to them. Purely because you can't materially, tangibly bring the practicality of what is spoken about at that level. So some of the key things that we sought to do with that is bring in some of the task force members to participate at that level so that you actually understand the people you talk about on these papers, policy papers, but also on the other hand, to then engage with the mass individuals to understand what policy actually means. Because the reason why you're in the township and you keep having an enforcer coming out to your car wash telling you we're going to shut you down is because of the local policies within your municipality that says you can't trade within a space that's not zoned properly. So those are the economic policy that are thwarting individuals to thrive. So that's what we then, the moment you bring it the moment you bring it up in that fashion, then people understand it better. They understand why it's important to then participate in political platforms from a municipal perspective so that you drive the right sort of reforms.
Youth unemployment,
Yeah.
Bulelani. How are young people in townships handling it, using entrepreneurship to just to survive and thrive? Are we seeing that mentality changing, that we're not going to rely on government to create jobs?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, we're seeing that mentality, but I mean, it's not within its majority. I think the biggest.
How can we change that?
I mean, I think for me, it's a couple of ways of changing that. Number one, operating from a zero base. Even though there are government agencies that are put out there in places, I think it's teaching our young individuals from a high school level to say that operate from a zero base. A zero base is when you know that there's support out there, but you operate as if there isn't. Because when you operate with if there isn't, even though you've sent out an application, you don't have the arrogance that says, I've sent it, it's their job to follow up. You follow up and you chase your things. The second key element and the second key part is, really just, I think from a young person perspective, just start where you are with what you have. Because when you start where you are with what you have, you remove the ego and you're leaving at the door and you start to enterprise within the community. So it's a couple of things. Do I work with my hands? Do I find someone who's got a product? I'm going to take pictures of it, use my social media to market it and get 10% every time they get a sale. You don't necessarily all the time need to create something, but the most important thing, you need to be entrepreneurial and enterprise. And being entrepreneurialism, really, it's a mindset thing, meaning that I could be in a full-time job and still do that. But the key thing that we need to drive is making it fashionable and cool for young people to work with their hands. Making it cool for a young person who apara overall and walk through the streets of Sandton because they just went and did a job and they got paid, because there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that for me is the key thing. So before I want to work in a corner office with a view, maybe let me run my artisanal business and then I'll build a corner office with a view for myself
where
and my
you
business.
Will then hire other people to come and do that. Because I love that you mentioned that, because at the end of the day, people, and a topic for another day, people want to do podcasts. Guys, only McG's making money out of this thing. Only McG's making proper money out of this. The rest,
it's anomalies.
Bulelani, I think we need to have this conversation. We don't have that much time. But quickly tell me about where people can find you guys, people that maybe want to get more information, get in touch with you, find out about your book and other things. Where and how can we get hold of you?
No, man, I think anyone out there is interested in supporting township entrepreneurs from a corporate level, please just get in touch with us. Join us for tea.co.za. Info at joinusfortea.co.za. You'll get in touch with us. Any entrepreneur wants to join our community, really, it's simple.
No age group,
nothing.
It's
a very simple process. You hashtag any social media platform. Our social media platforms will come up. We're on all social media platforms. Simply hashtag on the search bar, click search, will come up. Follow us. Go into our bio, click on the link. Every part of our social media has a link, and then there's a section there. When you open up that link, it says join our community. Do that and we will rock and roll.
No, absolutely. A friend of mine, the actress Lusanda Mbani, we're having a conversation. I was telling her about how I want to start my cooking business. I want to go big. And every time we would talk about it, I would show her my work and everything. And then we had a conversation. I remember we were sitting here at Power down there. And then I'm telling her a story. And then after like a good 15 minutes, Lusanda says to me, Kwena, stop making excuses. Just start, damn it. Those were exact words. And I can tell you, within a month, I already started serving clients food.
That's amazing.
Because eventually, I realized that all I was saying to her was excuses.
Yeah.
And she said to, and I remember she was literally shouting and banging the table. She said, "Stop making excuses. Just start. Damn it." And it landed. Bulelani, thank you so much for coming through to talk to us. We're definitely going to do this again, and then maybe we can engage listeners. But appreciate your time and the work that you're doing for the township. So Bulelani Balabala, follow them on the socials and otherwise. Founder of Hispanic Group and founder of the Township Economy Awards. It's 1:30.